A big applause for Weyers.
Morgen. Do we have non-Dutch speakers? Yes, we have. Okay, that's enough. Well, zero would be, why hell would we do it in English? My name is Jos Weyers. I'm a member of TOOL. TOOL is the open organization of lockpickers. We pick locks as a sport. And picking, in our definition, means opening without keys and without violence or without actual traces to your lock. And in order to do that, we operate by a couple quite simple rules. You do not pick locks that you do not own, or that you have explicit permission from the actual owner that you're allowed to open it, and do not open locks that you rely on. Because, well, if you want to start picking on your front door and you fail, and at some point you will, then it can't either be closed or not opened again, which brings you a problem. Furthermore, I'm a member of Hack42, which is a hackerspace in Arnhem. And according to Hackaday, that's the most awesome hackerspace ever, which of course I agree on. We'll start off with a tiny video. Show of hands, who thinks this is a good idea? Who thinks it's a neat idea? I agreed on the latter part, absolutely. I like it a lot. Not for a security point of view. But actually this was a German firm. Actually it's an insurance company, so if your home does get robbed, that's, well, just on their account. And what you could see is that they took a key on a spinning platform and they basically 3D rendered that key and printed it. Well, there's a couple of things wrong with that, because I don't know where you guys live, but in my neighborhood it's easier to find a locksmith than a 3D copy shop. But well, maybe in time that'll change. But well, it was a key that was 3D rendered in Belgium, which is in Europe, which is not in America. Why does that make sense? Because in America you have basically two choices if you want a lock. That's a absolutely crappy lock or a very good one. There's absolutely nothing in between in America. In Europe, as we hopefully all know, you have quite a choice of locks you want. I mean, there's a gazillion different brands and the quality varies from very good to quite bad, but there's choices. And in America there's only two brands that are not stupid expensive and very good. So that's basically everything that every American household has on its door. So in an American environment there's two brands of locks ish. That's about 80% of everything. So then you don't need to put a spinning 3D render key on there. You can take a picture of your key that would be enough to make a key. And that's what actually happens. This is schlussel.com, and they say, yeah, it's Yiddish, I don't know. And, sorry? I'm a nix. So what they say, you just take a picture of your key, and we mail a copy to your home.
Outside your door. At your kitchen table.
Yeah, they probably lay it on your kitchen table. But I would use a different address for that envelope. But the idea is nice. You just take a picture of your key and send it. Kind of cool. And they actually made quite neat software for it that doesn't really copy your key, but analyzes the original cut. So if you have an older key that's worn out, it'll figure out what the original code was, and your key your copy will be cut to code. So if you have an older key, then there is a fair chance that the copy you get works better than the one than your original. So that's quite nifty, I think. Cool software. And it's not that high tech. And some companies actually went further and incorporated that into their business case. This is Outbox. Outbox operates in Manhattan, yes. And what they do, they basically are a reverse mailman. So they show up to your door, your physical door, and take away your mail, your physical mail. They take it to their facilities, they scan it, and they mail it to you, but then digitally. So if you're not home, you can still read your spam. But in order to do that, of course they have to have access to your physical mailbox, which is easy, because just send us a picture of your key. Well, if it's behind the door, send us a picture of that key. And they have several layers of where is it behind the gate, is it not behind the gate. But they stop at is it behind your front door, because then they don't want it. Because it'd be in America, people having guns and eager to sue and God knows what. They don't want to be behind your front door, which basically makes sense. So these guys make keys just from a single picture. Is that new? Nope, it's definitely not new. This is a camera and a tiny bit of a lens. This is done in MIT quite some years ago. What they can do with that lens is there is a terrace with a chair, the book, and on that book are keys. It's actually a good book. And those keys, well, it's not a clear picture. It's clear enough. Because what you can do, especially with that one, because you can see the head of the key, which is quite recognizable. And if you know American brands, you know it's Kwikset. And if you look at that head, you can tilt and crop and do whatever with that picture until that head is the correct shape. As long as that head is the correct shape, the rest of the key is also the correct shape, so you can just decode the bidding. Do we get that? It's not that hard. And then we have a working key. Just from a picture. It doesn't have to be up close, definitely not. And it doesn't have to be dead center or whatever. I mean, it's just a picture. Because this was not the best picture in the world. But it's enough to gather this information from. So gathering information from pictures, yes, done that before. This is the key to, well, it used to be the key to all German handcuffs, all German police handcuffs. And the idea that all the handcuffs in Germany have one key, well, it may sound weird, but it actually isn't if you think about it. Because if you get arrested by one copper in Germany, and they take you to the station and hands you over to another cop, it's quite good that he can open your cuffs. And otherwise you get, well, quite some database of where is which key and how is that going to happen. Well, actually, this picture was taken at a hackers conference quite some years ago. And the picture is taken by, who was it? Ray, thank you. By Ray. Ray is a member of SSDEF, which is basically a tool in Germany. And he likes his handcuffs. And he was walking about the camping ground, and he saw a Dutch policeman, and he saw handcuffs. He was like, that's a Lips. So he recognized the brand. And that's the same brand as the German used. So his initial idea was, will they have the same keys? So he went up to this police officer and said, sir, can I try my key in your handcuffs? And he said, fuck off, and he turned around. And he turned around. Like I said before, this is not the best picture in the world. It's not that high res, but you can see this is low, high-ish, right? So I probably can't decode the key from this picture, but I can have quite a good guesstimate if this is the same one as that. Right? That's a fair chance. And yes, it was, because after he asked another police officer, he was allowed to open it, and it did work. True. And it's on that URL also. So if you want to print your own one, then you can get it from there. So that's it. You can make keys from pictures. So you can leak information by pictures. There's nothing new. We knew that before. And we leak information all the time. This is a typical clean desk policy environment. At least that's the way I see it normally. And I see a key. And what we did, we put a coin in that picture. Because if we take a picture of that picture, or a picture of that key with the coin, and if we print that, I know what the size of the coin has to be, because I know what the coinage is. So if I print that on the correct scale, I can just cut that out, right? If it's a bit of a crappy lock, and I cut that out with some metal behind it, then I end up with a rudimentary shape of a key. And like I said, if the lock is crappy enough, that'll open. But mind you, it needs to be quite a crappy lock. But a lot of locks are. So that helps. So, a couple of time ago, this story ran in American newspapers. It was possible to buy the master key to the subway station online for a couple of bucks. And of course, it being American, it was terrorists and evil guys and Muslims, and nobody should have this key. That key.
Which you can order.
With bigger pictures. And of course, well, if maybe this is not high res enough, well, maybe this is. At least this is on a, well, I know the grid scale of that map. So this is definitely enough to make a working key to the New York subway system. The master key. So we're not talking about, ooh, I can travel without paying. Well, yeah, you can travel without paying. Actually, you can drive without paying. You can make sure nobody is driving. Nobody in, nobody out. Because, I mean, technical facilities, you can, it's not just opening doors, it's opening doors to places you're not supposed to be. So, yeah, maintenance tunnels, stuff like that. Kind of cool. So yeah, nobody should have access to this key. Sorry? Yeah. Stuff like that. Fun. So, showing keys in a public display saying this should be wrong. Yeah. Now, We have another short video to see how some media runs stories like this.
Let's bring in NBC Bay Area's investigative reporter, Vicki Wynn. Vicki, seems unbelievable that one golden key, so to speak, unlocks so many pumps.
We were surprised too, Raj. You could call it the key to the kingdom. It is a remnant from back in the day when all gas station pumps were made with the same lock to make it easier for inspections and maintenance. Now those keys are just providing easy access to a very lucrative crime using new high-tech technology, and in the end, we are all on the hook.
Hidden behind here, a new Bluetooth-enabled skimmer that can rip off your credit or debit information in seconds. This universal gas pump key is making it even easier for thieves to install these new skimmers.
If you put a credit, debit, God knows what kind of card into a machine, and in that same machine you type in your PIN code, that's money, right? So if I want to skim that, normally you have to make plastic thingies to put on that to make it neat or believable that it's not tampered with. But if I have the key to that actual box, I can put all my crapware in there. And it looks like the real thing, because guess what? It is the real thing. So, yes, it is kind of neat, if you're a bad guy, to have this key to all the gas stations. Because gas stations get used a lot, 24/7, and they keep on going, and it's all credit cards. So, but this is not the way to run this story. And actually, it's not just that I can probably cut this key. I know which blank to order. It's Y11 USA, that cost about 50 cents. And that'll run. So I think this is a fail, right? Okay, we'll have more from that. Because, like I said, there are master keys. Master keys are useful. New York. New York has a lot of big buildings. Big high buildings. And suppose that a building is on fire, then you want the fire department to be able to get into that building. Yes? So you can give the master key to the fire department. But then again, there are a lot of buildings in New York.
A lot of fire department.
Sorry?
And a lot of fire department.
Also. But if a fire department goes to a building, you don't want him to be 20 minutes late, because first he has to figure out which key he has to take, and he can't take all of them because that's a lot. So what they do, they make a tiny vault outside all the buildings, and the vaults are keyed-alike, and within that vault there's the key to the actual building. So you have now one key, or a set of keys, that can open boxes that contain keys. So you have keys to the city, basically. And it's useful, but it's very useful from a safety perspective. From a security perspective, it's interesting, that's for sure. So you can do more, of course, because I mean, if you would be wise about it, you can put some extra measurements on that box, because once it opens, the alarm sounds, something like that, because, well, that doesn't matter, because the building is on fire anyhow. So that's good. But not all the time this is done. So having those keys is quite important. And there are more of those keys. And those get cut by locksmiths, of course. And there's a tiny story about that video.
Well, the apocalypse might be coming because a New York Post reporter just scooped a legitimate story. An intrepid reporter for America's third dumbest paper has found a slightly disturbing item for sale on eBay. Former locksmith Daniel Ferraris sold the undercover reporter a New York City fireman's keyring for $150. The keys give the owner the ability to control elevators, circuit breakers, subway entrances, and traffic lights all over the city. They essentially become the key maker from The Matrix Reloaded.
And of course, media being media, this...
Thank you very much.
Most media don't write their own stories, they just copy each other. So, nice dead-on pictures, white background, straight on, high-res pictures. Thank you very much. Actually, these guys gave it a bit of a thought, because they contacted the locksmith asking, can we run this? Is there a problem printing those keys? And this locksmith was like, I never cut keys from a picture. Nope, can't be done. Run it. So they ran it. And, well, this is doable, right? I mean, definitely doable. But, well, like I said, media being media, everybody copies, so other newspapers also printed those slides. And actually stating which key can be used where. So on the left there's an electric panel key. What it does, it opens street lamp boxes and circuit breakers panels in virtually every building in New York City. What could you do? Shut off power to City Hall or a police station house. Yeah, useful. Should be had by city electricians and contractors. Okay? Who has it now? Everyone, the world. Number 2, fire elevator key. It controls almost any elevator in the city. Unlocks fire alarm panels in buildings. What could you do? Send all the elevators in the Empire State Building to the ground floor, trapping everybody inside. What a great idea. That's not terrorism. Ooh. Number 3, a traffic light key. What it does, it works on all the versions of traffic light control panels. What could you do? Cause cause massive traffic jam to tie police and fire response. Yeah. And then we have a fireman service key, 1620. It controls elevators and opens locks, subway entrances, construction site master key boxes and some firehouse doors. If you were paying attention, that's the same key we had 2 movies before. Now that's probably not the year, no, it's not that far. So that key got more expensive, because now it's 150 for the set. But yeah, high-res pictures from keys that they agree on shouldn't be in public, because that's wrong. So they distribute it to the world. That's a way to have it secure. Yeah, I mean, share knowledge, so it's not secret anymore. So it can't be wrong. So, being stupid, giving out info, yeah, you can trigger that, right? Okay. Let's see how far we can get. Yes, it is. I'm a member of Hack 42, and Tech Inc. is also a hacking space in the Netherlands, and we love them to bits. And of course, when you really love somebody, you tease each other every now and then, and that's what we've done. Tech Inc. got a new room, a new building, and of course they got new keys for that building. So one of our members, being a decent troll, he was asking a member of Tech Inc., like, do you know if you have good keys, or if they're good? Because what you can do is send a picture of that key to us, because we have a locksmith enthusiast in our group, and he can assess if that would be a good lock. So this showed up in our mailbox. That's a clear enough picture, because what you can do with this picture, same as the clean desk environment thingy, you can draw this shape, right? And you end up with something like this. Yes? So this we ran through our newest machine, which happens to be a laser cutter. And then this happens. Not the motion string. First we label it, because we have tons of those keys. In Comic Sans, what else? Burn. Now that's not a working key. This is a piece of plastic in the fake shape of that key. The outline of the key is there. Because this would, with some luck, never fit into the actual lock. But the outline is correct. So what we can do is take this and put that on a regular key duplicator. So the plastic one is on the left, on the right there's a blank. And then we could end up with a working key. But like I said before, I'm not allowed to pick locks that I don't own. So for me there's no way of telling if that worked or not. But us being a hackerspace, we're all open source and everything, so we put all this on the public wiki, which some people didn't agree on. Of course, oh, sorry. Of course, us being trolls, and it's always teasing, and of course we didn't really yank. So we supplied them with a new lock and a 50, 60 set of keys.
50 keys at first and 50 later. Or
something like that.
And one for yourself.
Well, yeah.
No, they asked for 50 copies of the keys, so we kept the 3 original.
Yeah, because they didn't want original. They asked explicit for, can we get 50 copies of the keys? So the originals we couldn't give, they didn't want it.
And they were not going to give us the keys.
No. And after that they were like, oh, so now you can't get into our door. And it's like, who gave those keys? But then when, we became members, we even got a discount because it didn't need to give me a key. So so yes, getting information. If you want information, there's a lot of ways to get that, and social engineering a picture is doable. Because people don't understand that a key is basically a password to your door. Yes? And your door is the logging screen for your house. So it kind of makes sense to protect that, I think. Okay. But these were quite clear pictures. So let's see what more we can come up with. Video?
Ons komen regelmatig wel e-mails van mensen die een en ander beweren, eigenaardige mails, maar ook opmerkelijke, zoals deze e-mail die we gekregen hebben. En dat gaat eigenlijk over iemand die beweert dat je heel eenvoudig met een sleuteltje de flitspalen open krijgt. Dus stel je voor, je wordt geflitst, je hebt een sleuteltje en leef je uit op de flitspaal of op de besturing van die paal. En dat je ook die slotjes heel gemakkelijk kan kopen. Ik onderzoek dat even, we zijn in Brussel en we beginnen natuurlijk bij de slotenmaker. Sleuteltjes. En dat is een innenslotje. Volgens de mailschrijver zit dit in de flitspaal. En kan ik met die sleuteltjes de flitspaal openen. En hoeveel heeft dat gekost? Dat heeft €14,23 gekost. Als dit werkt voor €14,23, dat is opmerkelijk goedkoper dan een boete van een flits. Dit is hij dan. Deze paal. Er zijn in Vlaanderen heel wat acties geweest om deze flitspalen uit te schakelen. Men heeft erop geschoten, men heeft ze in brand gestoken, men heeft ze zelfs afgekleefd. Maar eigenlijk is dat volgens onze mailschrijver allemaal niet nodig. Want het geheim van deze paal zit in deze kast. Deze robuuste kast is de aansturing, de sturing, de elektronica, de stroom van die flitspaal. Dit sleuteltje, dat je daar deze combinatie onschadelijk mee kan maken. En dat... Ja, het klepje gaat hier open. De sleutel past. De deur gaat open. Hier kan je hem zelfs gewoon handmatig en automatig aan en afzetten. Laten we dit maar dicht doen. Terug op slot. Volledig nieuw. Dit is wraakroepend. Dit kan niet.
Actually, I don't understand the story, because apparently you can not just buy the keys, you can buy the locks. And I have no idea how that happened. But then again, I don't care. I just want the keys. I don't want the lock. And so from that video, we lifted several stills. This one, that one, and this one. Let's go with this one, because it's nicely straight on. So same as that picture with the big lens that we started off before, this is quite a peculiar head. And this, if you know your locks, you see that's a BKS, because that's, well, the shape we're known with. And as with all the keys, if you look at the key, there's also there's a set level there's a finite set of depths that are possible, which can be found online, of course. So this is for that particular lock, is basically the style sheet of how a key should look like. So that's 5 positions, 9 possible depths, and so you keep on looking at this picture and this grid, and you figure out what the depths are. And we came up with this. And we is tool Eindhoven. So we figured out, we guesstimated basically, that this would be the key to all the Belgian flash traffic lights. Speed cams, that's the one. Oh, Jesus, I'm dead. So, but can't try it, because, well, first, I'm not in Belgium. And, well, rule number 1, you cannot pick locks that you don't own. Technically, maybe this is not picking, but I'm pretty sure that rule 2, you can only open them with explicit permission from the actual owner. That's not going to fly. So we bought a speed camera. And yes, it works. This is actually the key to all the Belgium speed cams. So maybe we shouldn't show it. Okay, so showing pictures of keys is wrong. But if I don't have a picture, but I can actually have the key in my hand, that's the Holy Grail, of course, because then I can copy everything, right? I mean, if I have a key copy machine, but not necessarily. Because if you walk into a key copy shop, you see a whole wall full of key blanks. So you need that as well, which is a lot. Well, actually, not necessarily. Because what a key copier would do is copy the shape of that key, right? Like we did before. Just trace that key. But you need to do that on the correct piece of metal. Some machines do that in a different direction. This is an easy entry machine. That is a box that basically cuts keys, but the blanks. You feed it with these, basically bits of brass, and what it does, it mills the side of that lock. So the grooves on the side, those are being cut. So after that, this is a bit clearer picture of it. So and this then is a normal blank that you can put in a normal key duplicator, and you have a working key. So even if you go like, oh, you can't copy this key. No, you're not allowed to copy it. You still can. So that still works. And even if you don't have fancy equipment like that, other means of duplication are still possible. What's this? Tin soldiers. How do you make tin soldiers? You cast them, yeah. And casting is very doable. So you can do, if it's a lock with normal tolerances, normal clay is doable. I tried that, that's quite easy, and it works. It works quite nice. It takes a bit of getting used to. Baby powder should be added, because otherwise it sticks to everything. But that's about it. If you go into the better locks with lower tolerances, like on the right side, that's an abloy, that you need, not clay won't work anymore. But you need to component stuff. The stuff that your dentist used to make impressions from your teeth, that's good stuff. Befriend your dentist, that works. But normally, for regular keys, a clamp set would work. That's normal clay. And you just experiment with your metals. And, well, don't breathe in too much of the stuff. And you'll be good to go. And you'll end up with copies of your keys. Because, well, this is not a fancy key, but a normal key duplicator could have a problem duplicating this, because it's a different key, it's different. But it's a shaped piece of metal, in which if you cast it, it's quite easily done. And if you save the original mold and be gentle with that one, suppose that key doesn't work, you can just remelt it and pour it again. Right? That'll work. So, giving out your key, just for a split second, well, not a split second, but for a couple of seconds, that would be enough to make at least a copy from it, or a negative from it, so a key can be made afterwards. So showing, giving, whatever, key is information which can be leaked. Okay. We know this guy, right? Rob Groenrijp. He's a hacker. He's one of the good guys. He knows information leakage. So how would he cope? Video?
We zijn nu op station Weesperplein, dus plein in Amsterdam. En we gaan hier een beetje rondlopen om te laten zien dat wij hier in de jaren 90 al hebben uitgespookt. En wij liepen hier in de jaren 90, begin jaren 90 liepen we hier rond en we hadden door allerlei toeval ontstaan een sleutel in handen waarmee we het metrosysteem in konden. De sleutel paste letterlijk overal op. En dan wil het geval dat er onder dit station allerlei interessante dingen liggen. Schuilbunkers, vreselijk spannend, zeker in die tijd vonden we het geweldig. Nou, nu staan ze in de lucht en dan ga ik dus niet op het knopje drukken. Ik draai de magische sleutel om. Dan gaat de deur ook keurig dicht. Nee, we gaan er niet naar de perron. Waar we gewend zijn dat de lift heen gaat. We gaan gewoon door naar beneden. Tot we aankomen in een veel diepere ruimte. Oh kijk eens, daar is het licht. Geweldig. Fantastisch.
And then you have hackers in your nuclear bunker. What's wrong with this picture? That's correct. There's no chance in hell this is the actual key.
The actual key is much simpler.
No, I've seen the original one. It's definitely not simpler. This is a locker key. This is just a key they had laying around. But you couldn't tell, could you? Because, I mean, the tension in the story was still there. And it just showed a key. And it took nothing away from the story. So that's what every media outlet can do, just show a key. It doesn't have to be the key. Because normally they're telling, this key shouldn't be out there. Well, then don't put it out there. Put something out there. But it's easy to get it wrong. I do get that. But so showing keys is wrong. So what can we do then? Okay, well this is it's not a solution, but it's they tried. Okay. This is a key port, which is basically a box that you slide your keys in. So if you lay them out, then if you look at that box on the table, you don't see the keys. You can just slide it in and out. And it comes with, well, a box with sliders. And of course, the keys have to be in there. How do the keys get in there? Well, you send pictures of keys And then they said, well, for added security, you could cover the tips of the keys so we can't look at your bidding. But that shouldn't be added security. And especially if you're branding it like DEF CON, which is, well, a security conference. So on a security conference, you're giving out, well, you're selling extra security for people who are paranoid enough that they don't want to show their keys. And for them, they say, well, please send pictures of your keys. And if you're extra super careful, you can cover tips. No, that should be the default. I mean, if you're selling security, then sell security. Well, that's maybe my opinion, but that's how it is.
And a description for what you do.
Sorry?
And a description for what you do.
Yeah, of course, because we have to know where to get in, right? So that's, yeah. And please put it on a grid so we know what is what, and so we can't make mistakes. So, we do understand that this is wrong, right? It's definitely handy. Not having locks at all is also quite handy to more people than one. So this is wrong, yes? No. So I think that this is also wrong. This is a website, it's called pleasebreak.in. And what they do, they basically leech on Twitter feed. And if you say something on Twitter like, this is my key to my new house, and it has a picture on it, then it just grabs that and put it in. Which is fun. And of course the URL shorteners, if you follow those, you end up at the original posting. So this tells us, well, the city of Turlock, I have no idea how big that is, but I know which house I'm looking for. I know his last name. I know what his keys is like. I'm pretty sure there's a Google map API, findable, fixable, who can reverse look this. And it probably has some metadata in the picture as well, yeah.
No, it has metadata in the tweet.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, they're from Turlock CA. It's in the tweet.
Yeah, they're not undoing it, yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a wrong. That's quite wrong to actually put your keys in a public like that. And especially if you're saying, well, I've got a new house, because if you got a new house, it's probably filled with new stuff as well, which is interesting for a lot of people.
Or no one expects a moving van.
Possible. Okay, so showing keys in public could be a wrong idea. But showing keys at the moment and in the near future, that's about the same as using keys. Because there's cameras everywhere. I mean, all of you have a smartphone which has a decent enough camera on it to make decent enough pictures to do this. And of course, well, there's Google Glass. You don't see them everywhere. But, I mean, stuff like that will become more common. They're already working on Google contact lenses. So in a couple of years, you haven't got a clue who's taping you. Or if you live in London, there's a gazillion CCTV cameras, which keep on getting better resolutions. So you can be looked at everywhere. So using your key is basically the same as typing in your password or punching in your PIN code. We've been telling users, well, some of them, to shield off your hand when you're typing a PIN code. Basically, it's kind of common sense to do that while using your key also. Okay? This is a bad man. Actually, he's a killer, which is considered bad. I know he's a killer because he's convicted for killing and went to jail for it. And he walked out. Because the design of the master key was printed on front of the prisoner's information handbook. And a copy of that book was given to all inmates upon arrival of that facility. So security can be easy, and security can be hard, but it's always quite easy to fuck it up. And on that bombshell, well, this is basically it. Thank you, guys. Any questions?
Yeah.
There's one. There's a microphone.
Is the slideshow going to be uploaded?
Sorry?
Is the slideshow going to be uploaded?
Yeah.
Another question over there.
Since you just talked about key codes, are you also familiar with the thermal imaging camera on your iPhone to see which buttons has been pressed to the key code? Did you use it before?
I didn't use the thermal on the iPhone, but quite some years ago, we were working with thermal cameras to do that also. And we looked at, basically we were looking at safe doors with, and yeah, that works. And if it's a decent thermal camera, and if it's good metal, let's put it like that, yes, you can use that, and with some locks you can actually get the actual order to punch those keys, and sometimes quite long after the fact. That's scary stuff. Yes.
When I enter my PIN code or my key code, normally what I would do is, if the machine is still thinking if I'm able to make the payment, I just put my fingers on all the keys, but is that the best way to prevent yourself from being...
I'm not sure it's the best, but it's a good way, yeah. That's what I do. Just wipe them all.
Other questions?
That's it? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you much. Jos?